I met Emma at a tech startup in downtown Boston 3 years ago. I was 34 working as a software engineer while she created beautiful user interfaces that made our clunky code seem elegant. Her hazel eyes lit up whenever she talked about design, and I fell hard. Within a year, we were married in a small ceremony by the coast. Emma has severe asthma. She has carried an inhaler since childhood, and certain substances, especially nuts, can trigger dangerous attacks. My family never accepted her. They come from old money and expected me to marry someone from our social circle, not a simple designer from Oregon. Before I tell you about the moment I almost lost the love of my life, let me know where you are watching from, and hit subscribe if you have also dealt with toxic family traditions. Growing up in the prestigious Harrison family of Boston meant certain expectations were non-negotiable. Our three-generation estate in Beacon Hill housed my controlling parents, William and Sarah, my older brother Anthony, with his equally judgmental wife Diana, and my younger sister Natalie, the only decent human among them besides my grandfather Frank. Family gatherings at our colonial-style mansion always felt more like evaluations than celebrations. Crystal chandeliers illuminated conversations about stock portfolios and country club memberships, while servants quietly refilled champagne glasses. This was the world I was born into but never fully embraced. "When will you finally join the family investment firm?" my father would ask, monthly disappointment barely concealed beneath his Brooks Brothers suit. He never understood my passion for coding, dismissing it as playing with computers. My mother, with her perfectly coiffed silver hair, would simply sigh dramatically whenever the subject arose. What truly defined the Harrison family beyond wealth and status was our disturbing tradition of pranks. Not harmless jokes, but calculated humiliations disguised as humor. My cousin Alex once ended up with a fractured arm after Anthony removed a chair just as he was sitting down at Thanksgiving. Instead of concern, laughter erupted around the table. When Alex tearfully left the room, my father called him too sensitive. I endured countless pranks growing up: itching powder in my graduation robe, laxatives in my birthday cake, my bed short-sheeted with poison ivy. Each time I reacted, I was mocked for lacking a sense of humor. Eventually, I developed thick skin, exactly what my family wanted. I learned to laugh along while dying inside. This emotional callousing was considered a rite of passage. Then I met Emma Winters at Bytesphere Technologies, where we both worked. She wore no designer labels, carried no famous last name, but possessed something my family could never buy: genuine warmth. Her cubicle featured succulents and hand-drawn illustrations. She brought homemade cookies for the team every Friday. When the CEO praised her redesign that boosted user engagement 40%, she blushed and credited the entire team. "You did all the work, though," I said afterward by the coffee machine. "The best designs are invisible," she replied. "Nobody should notice the framework, just how easily they can use it." That philosophy extended to Emma herself. She moved through life with unassuming grace, making those around her better, without drawing attention to herself. Her childhood in Portland with schoolteacher parents had instilled values my family would consider quaint: gratitude, sincerity, kindness. Her asthma had shaped her perspective too. "When you occasionally cannot breathe," she once told me, "you learn not to waste breath on things that do not matter." She carried her inhaler everywhere, along with an EpiPen for her severe tree nut allergy, particularly to almonds. These medical necessities were as much a part of her as her creative talent. I proposed 6 months after our first date, presenting a modest ring that made Emma cry with joy, but would make my mother scoff. We married at a small coastal inn with only 80 guests. None from my family except Natalie, who defied our parents to attend. "They will come around," Emma reassured me, as we settled into our downtown apartment. "Just give them time." My family finally requested to meet her 3 months after our wedding. The dinner at my parents' house was excruciating. My mother examined Emma's simple dress with thinly veiled disdain. My father interrogated her about her family's background, each question highlighting their ordinary status. Anthony and Diana exchanged knowing glances throughout dinner, as if confirming their prejudices. "So you draw pictures for apps?" Diana asked Emma. "How creative. I suppose someone has to make those little buttons pretty." User experience design is actually quite complex, Emma replied politely. It involves psychology, information architecture, and fascinating. My mother interrupted, clearly uninterested. Jack, remember Sophia Blackwell? Her father just became ambassador to France. She asked about you at the charity gala last month. Only Natalie engaged genuinely with Emma, asking thoughtful questions about her work and background. My 82-year-old grandfather Frank, a retired Army colonel who lived in the East Wing, also showed unexpected kindness. This family needs fresh blood, he whispered to me while the others were occupied with dessert. Too much inbreeding of ideas around here. As months passed, Emma continued trying to win over my family, bringing thoughtful gifts to gatherings and expressing interest in their lives. They responded with backhanded compliments and subtle jabs about her background. I defended her when I could, but often found myself caught between loyalty to my wife and desire for family approval. They are your family, Jack, Emma would say, after particularly difficult visits. I understand complicated relationships. We will keep trying. Her grace under their scrutiny only made me love her more, and made their rejection of her all the more painful. Our second wedding anniversary should have been perfect. Emma prepared an intimate dinner at our apartment. Candles, music, her famous roasted salmon. She wore the burgundy dress I had given her for Christmas, her chestnut hair falling in soft waves. To us, she toasted eyes shining with hope for our future. The doorbell interrupted our celebration at 8:15. My entire family stood in the hallway, Anthony holding an expensive bottle of champagne. Surprised, my mother announced, pushing past Emma into our apartment. We could not let this special day pass without celebrating with you both. Emma shot me a concerned glance but quickly composed herself. How thoughtful. Please come in. What followed was disaster dressed as celebration. My mother criticized our cozy apartment. My father questioned our decision to rent rather than buy. Anthony dominated conversations with stories about his recent promotion. Diana asked when we planned to have children, then made pointed comments about Emma not getting any younger. The breaking point came when Anthony accidentally spilled red wine on Emma's favorite dress while reaching for bread. Oops, he chuckled. At least now you have reason to buy something designer. Emma excused herself to change tears, threatening despite her composed smile. When she left, I confronted my brother. That was deliberate, Anthony. My mother waved dismissively. Do not be dramatic, Jack. It was just a little prank. Your wife seems rather thin-skinned. Thin-skinned. You have all been rude since arriving uninvited. Uninvited. My father raised his eyebrows. Family does not need invitations. The evening ended with tense goodbyes and my family departing amid manufactured indignation at my overreaction. Emma changed into jeans and a sweater squeezed my hand as we watched them leave. I am sorry, I whispered. They can be monsters. They are still your family, she replied, though her voice wavered. But maybe next anniversary we can go somewhere. Just us. 3 weeks later, my mother called with unusual warmth in her voice. Grandpa Frank's 80th birthday is next Saturday. He specifically asked for you and Emma to attend. He has taken quite a liking to your wife. Though technically his 82nd birthday, not 80th, I did not correct her. Grandpa Frank was the family patriarch, and the only member besides Natalie who treated Emma with genuine kindness. Despite my hesitation, refusing would hurt him. I will ask Emma, I said cautiously. Emma agreed, though, not without reservation. Your grandfather has always been kind to me, and I know how much he means to you. I will stay by your side the entire time, I promised. At the first sign of trouble, we leave. The night before the party, Emma carefully packed her inhaler and EpiPen in her small purse. Just in case, she said with a nervous smile. I noticed her hands trembling slightly as she checked and double-checked her emergency medications. We do not have to go, I offered. Family is important, Jack, even complicated ones. Besides, your sister and grandfather will be there. She zipped her purse decisively. I can handle one dinner. My grandfather's birthday celebration at my parents' estate began with surface-level pleasantries. Mother kissed Emma's cheek without making actual contact. Father shook my hand with his typical firm grip, that always felt more like competition than affection. Anthony and Diana arrived late, making a grand entrance in matching navy blue outfits. Grandpa Frank, however, embraced Emma warmly. There she is, my favorite addition to this stuffy family. Natalie, 26, and the family rebel with her psychology degree instead of business or law, hugged Emma genuinely. Sanity reinforcement has arrived, she whispered loud enough for me to hear. The first hour passed with minimal tension as we gathered in the formal living room for drinks. Emma stayed close beside me on the antique sofa, occasionally squeezing my hand when underhanded comments flew her way. I intercepted most verbal jabs, becoming her human shield against my family's subtle cruelty. "Dinner is served," announced Claudette, the long-suffering family housekeeper, who had known me since childhood. She gave me a sympathetic look as we proceeded to the dining room. The massive mahogany table was set with the family china, white with gold trim used only for significant occasions. Grandpa Frank sat at the head with my parents flanking him. Anthony and Diana sat opposite Emma and me, with Natalie beside Emma providing a buffer of kindness. Conversation flowed artificially throughout the soup and salad courses. My father discussed stock portfolios, while my mother commented on recent charity events. Anthony bragged about his new vacation property in Nantucket. Through it all, Emma smiled politely, offering thoughtful comments when appropriate. "The salmon is excellent," Emma complimented as the main course arrived. "Yes, our chef trained in Paris," my mother replied. "I suppose it must be quite different from what you grew up within." "Oregon, was it?" I noticed Anthony whispering something to Diana, both smirking afterward while glancing at Emma. A sense of foreboding settled over me, but I dismissed it as paranoia born from years of their torment. Dessert arrived. Elegant individual soufflés topped with powdered sugar and berries. Emma took a small bite and commented on the delicate flavor. 2 bites later, she suddenly stopped, her face changing. "Is everything all right?" I asked, noticing her breathing pattern shift. "It tastes different," she whispered, reaching for her water glass with trembling hands. "Jack, I think there might be." She could not finish her sentence before her breathing became labored. Her fingers clutched at her throat as panic filled her eyes. "Emma," I grabbed her shoulders as she began gasping for air. "What is happening?" "Can't breathe," she managed, reaching for her purse. "My inhaler." As her face reddened and lips began taking on a bluish tint, I upended her purse onto the table, desperately searching for her medication. Instead of her inhaler and EpiPen, I found only a small folded note. Opening it, revealed 5 words in Anthony's handwriting. "Just a prank. Family tradition." Horror washed over me as I looked up at my brother, who was smirking along with Diana. My parents appeared mildly concerned, but not alarmed. "Where is her medication?" I demanded, voice shaking with rage and fear. "Relax, Jack." Anthony rolled his eyes. "We just wanted to see if she was really allergic or just being dramatic. We put a tiny bit of almond extract in her dessert. She has severe asthma and nut allergies, you idiots," I screamed, as Emma's wheezing worsened. Her eyes were wide with terror as she struggled for each breath. "She could die." "Do not be so dramatic," my mother said, though uncertainty crept into her voice as Emma's condition visibly deteriorated. "Everyone has allergies these days." "Call an ambulance," I shouted, cradling Emma as her consciousness began to fade. Her lips had turned alarmingly blue. "I already did," Natalie said, phone in hand, face pale with fear. "They are 4 minutes out." Those 4 minutes were the longest of my life. I held Emma in my arms, watching helplessly as each breath became more labored. My grandfather barked orders at the family to give her space while Natalie monitored the phone for the ambulance's arrival. My parents and Anthony finally seemed to grasp the severity as Emma's eyes began to roll back. Diana remained oddly detached, sipping her wine and muttering about overreactions. When paramedics burst into the dining room, they immediately administered epinephrine and placed an oxygen mask over Emma's face. As they loaded her onto a stretcher, one paramedic looked at me gravely. "She is in anaphylactic shock. If you had waited much longer to call, we might have lost her." I rode in the ambulance, holding Emma's limp hand, while monitors beeped around us. At the hospital, she was rushed to emergency treatment, while I collapsed into a waiting room chair, shaking with fear and rage. 3 hours later, a tired-looking Dr. Rodriguez approached me. "Your wife is stabilized, but it was extremely close. With her asthma complicating the allergic reaction, the anaphylaxis progressed very rapidly. If the ambulance had arrived even 5 minutes later, we would be having a very different conversation." Those words knocked the wind from my lungs. "Can I see her?" Emma lay pale against the hospital sheets, oxygen tubes in her nose, IV in her arm. Her eyes fluttered open when I took her hand. "Hey," she whispered hoarsely. Tears filled my eyes. "I am so sorry. I should have protected you." She squeezed my hand weakly. "Not your fault." While Emma drifted in and out of sleep, my phone buzzed repeatedly. A half-hearted apology text from my mother. "We had no idea it would be so serious. Anthony feels terrible." Anthony's message told a different story. "She is fine, right. Everyone is acting like I committed murder. Not my fault she is so sensitive." Only Natalie's message showed genuine remorse. "This is unforgivable. I am staying at the hospital tonight. Do you need anything?" My emotions cycled between crushing guilt and blinding rage. My family had nearly killed the woman I loved, and they still could not take full responsibility. This was the toxic pattern that had shaped my childhood. Cruelty disguised as humor, followed by minimization rather than accountability. As I sat beside Emma's hospital bed through the night, listening to the rhythmic beeping of monitors, I made a decision. This would end now. 3 days later, after Emma was released from the hospital with strict recovery instructions, I drove alone to my parents' house. The familiar driveway no longer felt like coming home. It felt like entering enemy territory. My parents received me in the formal living room looking irritated rather than remorseful. Anthony and Diana arrived shortly after having been summoned by my mother. Natalie was already there, sitting apart from the others with arms crossed defensively. "We need to discuss what happened." I began standing rather than taking a seat. "Emma nearly died because of your prank." "Nearly died seems excessive," my father said dismissively. "The doctor said she is fine now." "The doctor said 5 more minutes without treatment would have killed her," I countered, struggling to maintain composure. "I want you all to understand exactly what you did." I pulled out my phone and played a video I had asked Dr. Rodriguez to record, explaining the severity of Emma's reaction. The combination of asthma and anaphylaxis created a perfect storm in her respiratory system, the doctor explained clinically. Without immediate intervention, fatal respiratory arrest was imminent. My mother shifted uncomfortably as the video ended. Anthony examined his fingernails. Diana scrolled through her phone. "Everyone makes mistakes," my mother finally offered. "Anthony has apologized." "No, he has not," I corrected. "Neither have any of you, not sincerely." "Oh, stop being so dramatic," Jack Anthony interjected. "It was just a prank. Our family has always done pranks. Remember when Dad put laxatives in your graduation cake?" Everyone laughed then. "That is exactly the problem," I said, voice rising. "This family normalizes cruelty and calls it tradition. You take pride in causing pain and label anyone who objects as oversensitive." My father stood abruptly. "That is enough. The Harrison family has certain ways. If your wife cannot adapt to almost being killed," I interrupted. "Listen to yourselves. What kind of family values humiliation over safety, pride over kindness? Your wife has made you soft," Anthony sneered. The Jack I knew could take a joke. Something snapped inside me. Years of suppressed pain and anger rushed forward. "This stops now. You will sincerely apologize to Emma and commit to ending these traditions, or I am done with all of you." Stunned silence followed my ultimatum. My mother recovered first. "You cannot be serious. We are your family." "Family does not deliberately harm people they claim to love," I replied. "Family protects each other. What you did was calculating and cruel, and you still will not take responsibility. You are choosing her over your own blood," my father asked incredulously. "I am choosing respect and safety over toxicity. I am choosing love over status. And yes, if forced to choose, I choose Emma." "He is right," Natalie stood moving to my side. What we did, what this family does, is not normal or healthy. I have been saying it for years. My mother glared at Natalie. You always were the difficult one. No, I corrected. She was always the honest one, the brave one. Anthony laughed coldly. So dramatic. This is what happens when you marry beneath your station. Those words confirmed everything. My family would never change. They would never see Emma as worthy, never take responsibility for their actions, never abandon their cruel traditions. Goodbye, I said simply. Grandpa, Frank, and Natalie are welcome in our lives. The rest of you, not until you make genuine amends. I walked out of my childhood home feeling simultaneously heavy with loss and light with liberation. Natalie followed me to my car. I am proud of you, she said, hugging me tightly. It needed to be said. Will you be okay here? She shook her head. I have been looking at apartments downtown, maybe near you and Emma. 1 month later, Emma had fully recovered physically, though nightmares about not being able to breathe persisted. We began seeing a therapist, Dr. Marshall, who specialized in family trauma. What you experienced was not just a prank, she explained during our 3rd session. It was emotional and physical abuse disguised as tradition. With each session, I recognized more clearly how my upbringing had normalized toxicity. Emma helped me identify healthy boundaries and expectations. Together we began building our chosen family, friends who demonstrated genuine care and respect. Thomas from my development team and his wife became regular dinner guests. Our elderly neighbor Maria adopted us, informally bringing homemade soup and wisdom from her 80 years of life. Emma's best friend Jessica visited from Portland, bringing warmth and laughter to our home. Natalie moved into an apartment 10 minutes from ours and blossomed away from our parents' criticism. She began dating Sam, a kind music teacher who treated her with the respect our family had never shown. Grandpa Frank visited occasionally, apologizing profusely for not intervening sooner. I watched 3 generations of Harrisons become progressively crueler, he admitted over coffee in our living room. I should have stopped it decades ago. My parents and Anthony made several half-hearted attempts at reconciliation, all centered on family obligation rather than genuine remorse. Each time I reiterated my boundaries, acknowledged the harm, commit to change or stay away. They chose distance. 6 months after the incident, Emma shared life-changing news. I am pregnant, she whispered one morning, showing me the positive test. We are going to be parents. Joy mixed with determination filled me. Our child will never know cruelty disguised as humor. They will never doubt their worth or walk on eggshells at family gatherings. They will know they are loved unconditionally. Emma agreed, hands protectively cradling her still flat stomach. We created new traditions for our expanding family. Sunday morning pancakes, monthly game nights with friends, silly songs instead of insults, genuine apologies when mistakes happened. Sometimes I feel sadness for what might have been if my birth family could have embraced kindness and growth. Occasionally, I wonder if our child will miss having extended family. But then I look at the loving community we have built. Natalie and Sam Thomas and his wife Maria, next door Jessica from Portland, and realize that family transcends bloodlines. Sometimes protecting what matters most requires difficult choices. My family nearly took Emma from me with their cruelty, but in doing so, they gave me the courage to break generational patterns and build something healthier, something true. Do you have toxic family traditions you have had to confront? Have you ever had to create boundaries with family to protect someone you love? Share your experiences in the comments below. If this story resonated with you, please hit subscribe and like this video. Your support helps me continue sharing these difficult life lessons. Remember, sometimes the family we choose matters more than the family we are born into. Thank you for listening, and may you find the strength to protect what truly matters in your own life.